Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them not only to win their favour when their eyes on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly, as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. And masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. Paul speaking here to the slaves, as in those days slavery was still allowed. Some slaves were treated very badly, while others were treated well, and were just like normal workers. Paul writes to encourage Christians who are slaves to know that the gospel should transform how they work, and the same is true for us, even though we're not slaves. According to Paul, we are to obey our earthly masters, which might mean our parents or our boss if we have a job. We're to obey them with respect and fear, just as we would obey Christ. What does Paul mean about fearing your earthly masters, just as you would Christ? In the Bible, it talks a lot about fear, but in Proverbs 1:7, it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." I guess what this is telling us is that if we wish to be wise or have knowledge, then we must fear Christ, but also fear our earthly masters as well, as they will teach you many things. And this is where it links with yesterday's video when Paul talks about fathers bringing up their children in the training and instruction of the Lord. So we must obey our earthly masters as we would Christ. Verse 6 says, "Obey them not only to win their favour when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart." So this just means that you're not just to obey them to get a well done or a recognition that you've done something well or correct, but you're to do so because our God has told us to obey our earthly masters as we would obey him, to please him, as doing these things out of love, of which our God has showed us how to give this. This will make him happy. So therefore, Paul has written, doing the will of God from your heart. Therefore, you must have accepted God and willing to do these things to please him, and not for self-recognition or self-gain. In 1 Corinthians 10:31, it says, "So whatever you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do it for the glory of God." In verse 9, Paul says, "Masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven. There is no favoritism with him." Paul finishes this section by reminding the people to treat their slaves and workers well, by reminding them that we all have a master in heaven. God does not show favoritism, whether we're rich or poor, successful or failing. God loves us the same and calls all people to submit to him. In fact, in Romans 6, we're told that as Christians, we are slaves to righteousness, called to obey God in every area of our lives. Thanks be to God that, though you used to be slaves to sin, you have come to obey your heart, the pattern of teaching that has now claimed your alliance. You have been set free from sin and have become slaves to righteousness.